From the mists of the north, a name emerged, carried on the icy winds, and whispered in fear across the shores of Europe. For centuries, they were the specter haunting the coasts, the wolf at the door. But who were these people? Were they merely the bloodthirsty raiders of myth, or was there a deeper story etched into the runes and buried beneath the frozen earth? This is the story of the Norsemen, a saga not just of fire and steel, but of survival, ambition, and the forging of a world. Our journey begins in Scandinavia, a land of stark beauty and brutal hardship. Here, carved by glaciers and lashed by the North Sea, life was a constant struggle against the elements. The soil was thin, the winters long and unforgiving. It was a crucible that forged a people of unparalleled resilience. They were farmers, fishermen, and traders, their lives dictated by the rhythm of the seasons, but within them stirred a restlessness, a yearning for what lay beyond the horizon. The sea was their neighbor, their provider, and soon it would become their highway to destiny. What drove these people from their frozen homelands? It wasn't simple bloodlust. A combination of factors brewed the perfect storm. Overpopulation strained the limited resources of their fjord-carved lands. Younger sons, with no land to inherit, sought fortune and glory elsewhere. Internal political strife and the consolidation of power by ambitious chieftains forced many to seek freedom beyond the reach of a new king. And then there was the allure of wealth. Whispers of rich, poorly defended monasteries and burgeoning trade towns to the south were an irresistible temptation. The Norsemen saw not just plunder, but opportunity. Their key to unlocking this new world was a marvel of naval engineering. The longship, sleek, fast, and formidable. These vessels were the pinnacle of Viking technology. With a shallow draft, they could navigate not only the treacherous open seas, but also sail far up rivers, striking deep into the heart of unsuspecting lands. Propelled by a single large sail and rows of powerful oarsmen, a longship could appear as if from nowhere and vanish just as quickly. It was more than a boat. It was an instrument of terror and a vessel of exploration, carrying warriors, traders, and settlers to the far corners of the known world. The year 793 marks a turning point in European history. On the holy island of Lindisfarne, off the coast of Northumbria, Viking longships beached on the sand. The monks, dedicated to prayer and scholarship, were caught utterly unprepared. The raid was swift, brutal, and sacrilegious. The Vikings plundered the monastery's treasures and left a trail of destruction. News of the attack sent a shockwave of fear and outrage across Christendom. It was the brutal announcement of a new age. The Viking Age had begun. Lindisfarne was not an isolated incident, but the first of many raids that would terrorize the coastlines of Britain, Ireland, and Francia for decades to come. But the Vikings were not just hit-and-run raiders. They were shrewd observers. As they raided, they learned the landscape, the political divisions, and the weaknesses of their enemies. Small-scale raids soon gave way to larger, more organized expeditions. Great armies, composed of warriors from across Scandinavia, began to overwinter in foreign lands, establishing fortified camps from which they could launch more ambitious campaigns. They were no longer just raiding, they were conquering. From the rivers of France to the fields of England, Viking armies carved out territories, demanding tribute to Danigeld and seizing land for themselves. At the heart of this society was the warrior ethos. To be a Viking was to embrace a life of risk for the promise of glory. Fame, reputation, and honor were paramount, both in this life and the next. Norse mythology painted a vivid picture of the afterlife. Those who died bravely in battle were chosen by the Valkyries to feast in Odin's great hall, Valhalla, until the final battle of Ragnarok. This belief system instilled a fearlessness in the Norse warrior. Death in battle was not an end, but a glorious transition. Their weapons, the sturdy axe, the long sword, the spear, and the round shield were not just tools of war, but symbols of their status and extensions of their will. Beyond the battlefield, Viking society was complex and surprisingly sophisticated. It was a world governed by law and tradition, centered around the Thing, a local assembly where free men gathered to settle disputes enact laws, and make political decisions. While their reputation was one of chaos, their own communities were built on a foundation of order. Blacksmiths forged not only weapons, but also the essential tools for farming and building. Craftsmen created intricate jewelry and wood carvings of breathtaking beauty. Women, contrary to the perceptions of the time, held significant rights. They could own property, inherit land, and initiate divorce. They were the keepers of the household, the guardians of the family's honor, while the men were away raiding or trading. The reach of the Vikings was truly global for their time. While their raids in the west are most famous, their journeys to the east were equally remarkable. Sailing the great rivers of Eastern Europe, they became known as the Russ. They established trade routes, stretching from the Baltic Sea all the way to Constantinople, the magnificent capital of the Byzantine Empire, and even to Baghdad. They traded furs, amber, and enslaved people for silver, silks, and spices. In Constantinople, the emperor himself was so impressed by their ferocity and loyalty that he formed an elite bodyguard. The Varangian Guard, composed almost entirely of these Norsemen. Their relentless spirit of exploration pushed them even further west into the vast unknown Atlantic. They colonized the Faroe Islands and Iceland, creating a new society in a land of fire and ice. From there, led by the indomitable Eric the Red, they settled the great, icy expanse of Greenland. And around the year 1000, 5 centuries before Columbus, his son, Leif Erikson, sailed even further, landing on the shores of what we now call North America, a place they named Viking. Though their settlement, they were short-lived. It stands as a testament to their incredible courage and unparalleled skills as navigators. The Viking Age was not eternal. By the 11th century, the world was changing. The kingdoms of Europe grew stronger, building castles and fielding professional armies that could effectively counter Viking tactics. In Scandinavia, powerful monarchies emerged, consolidating the old patchwork of chiefdoms into the nations of Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. The adoption of Christianity gradually replaced the old Norse gods, and with it, the warrior ethos of Valhalla began to fade. The Vikings didn't just disappear. They assimilated, they settled, and they became part of the very lands they once terrorized, leaving an indelible mark on the language, culture, and even the DNA of places like England, Normandy, and Russia. The legacy of the Vikings is far more than the caricature of horned helmets and brutal raids. They were explorers who redrew the map of the known world, traders who connected distant cultures, and settlers who forged new nations. They were poets, lawmakers, and artisans of incredible skill. Their story is a powerful saga of a people who, from a harsh and unforgiving land, rose to challenge empires and shape the course of history. They were the masters of the northern seas, and their echoes still resonate in our world today. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of the Viking Age. If you found this saga compelling, please like this video, subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into history, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an expedition into the past. We'll see you on the next voyage.